Hello once again, all my comic collecting friends out there in YouTube land. This is Comic Hoarder 410. Today I'm going to do a video of my haul from a small show I went to this weekend near me. And it was probably the most sparsely attended show I've ever been to, and there are positives and negatives to that, but I feel like the reason why is because the store that put on this show, they didn't advertise it or promote it too heavy, and they didn't put it out there too much. You know, I only found out from word of mouth, and I knew 3 months before the show Jim Steranko was attending, and 4 weeks before the show, their Facebook page and their website, still said guest list to be announced. I said, well, if you know Jim Steranko's coming, why don't you put that out there? Don't you want people to come to your show? And it turned out to be very prophetic because hardly anybody came. And I feel bad for the store because they didn't get much money on attendance, but it was kind of their own doing. And I hope it doesn't discourage them from doing another show. I hope they learn from their mistakes and do a better one. But I feel bad for the creators who were there who, through no fault of their own, didn't have that many people to sell their wares to. But for people like me, it worked out great because dealers were cutting breaks because there was no competition for buyers. And artists had plenty of time to do sketches for people. So it was good for me. But the first thing I want to do is give a big thank you to two awesome, generous YouTubers, Hippies Collectibles and Fool Killer 5150. These generous individuals heard I was going to a show with Jim Steranko, and they contacted me and they said, Matthew, please, on our behalf, accept these tokens of gratitude and friendship. We would like you to have our Nick Furies to take and get signed for yourself at our behest and add them to your comic book collection, please. And thank you so much, guys. You didn't have to do that. It's just your generous nature. It's how cool you are. And Hippie sent me this gorgeous copy of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. Bright, gorgeous copy that the mail almost damaged but didn't. And as you can see, I got it signed there by Jim Steranko. Thank you so much, Hippie. This is awesome. I didn't expect this. Thank you so much for that. And Fool Killer 5150 sent me this bright, white, gorgeous copy of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #4. And, man, what a gift. Thank you so much, you guys. Steranko signed it right there. Thank you so much. I'm really happy and blown away that you did this. I'm really happy to have these books. And I'm really just messing with you. Sorry, I'm hungover and a little ornery feeling. But you guys know, everyone, when I heard this, I know Steve, Fool Killer, had just completed a run of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I saw a video Hippie had made saying he hopes that Jim Steranko comes to a show near him soon because he'd really love to get a book signed. So I emailed him and said, hey, if you want to mail me a book, I'll get it signed for you. So mission successful, guys. I'll be sending your books out, if not this week, next week, for sure. And since it wasn't busy, I got to sit there and talk to Steranko for a while. And it's so cool when you meet someone like him, and he's so nice and so cool. And it meant a lot to me. He charged $5 a signature. He asked, do you want them personalized or not? I said, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't. I said, I don't sell any of my stuff, but I said I'd just like to know down the road if I leave them to my kids or something, and they don't like comics, they can sell them. He said, you know what, I appreciate and understand that. And I spent a bit of money at his table, so he didn't care. But since there was no traffic there, I mean, we talked about his Steranko Noir book. We talked about, he told me a great story about, showed me the picture George Lucas saw that made him he called Jim Steranko and said, hey, will you help me visually design this Indiana Jones character? He showed me the drawing that George Lucas called him about, and he just described, he's like, man, the Star Wars guy called me to work with me. That's pretty cool. And he's just an awesome guy. And even in his 80s, the guy has a handshake like a vice grip. But I think you all will appreciate this. The coolest thing he said, he saw these two books and my Cat 111. And while I signed him, he looks up, he goes, man, he's like, you have some really beautiful copies of these books. He said that #4 and that Cap 111, he's like, you have some white, creamy copies. I said, well, I appreciate that. I said, the Cap's mine, but the Nick Furies are two of my buddies out of state who just really wanted your autograph, so they mailed these books to me, and I'm going to send them back. He said, well, you're a good friend. And he said, you tell your buddies that their Nick Fury copies are better than the copies that I have as my file copies. That's God is my witness. That's what Jim Steranko said. So I thought that was pretty cool. And he was really impressed with this number 4, Steve, how white it is. And that's a beautiful copy, man. That's a gem you got. Moving along, I got my Captain America 111 signed, and you guys have seen this book before, but I love this cover design, and now it bears Steranko's signature. And, when I hear pop culture in comics or psychedelia in comics, the first thing that pops in mind is not only Jim Steranko, it's covers like that. So, just a legend and a cool guy, and was it wasn't a letdown to meet him. It actually reinforced, like, yep, this is a guy you should be a fan of because he appreciates his fans. I got my Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 6 signed. This is one of my favorite covers, and Steranko signed it for me there on the exploding planet Earth. Pretty freaking cool. And he recently did a cover for Batman Black and White number 2, and I'm a big Batman fan, so I was happy to get that signed as well. Okay. Moving along here, the Living Corpse guys, Ken Hazer and Buzz Hassan, were there, and many of you know I've known Buzz for a long time, and they're such awesome guys. They always take good care of me, but they always take care of all their fans. They treat their fans like royalty. They treat their fans like their friends, and it's really cool. Every time I visit them at the shows, you see the same people at their table buying stuff because they just build such a good rapport, and they treat people so nice they want to do business with them. So Ken Hazer took this white variant to Wolverine number 1 and drew me this awesome classic Wolvie with blood. And actually, I should have opened it because the claws go around to the back. But that was very cool of Ken. And Buzz and Ken together did this. This is a sketch cover, or white variant cover, rather, for Deadpool number 1. I'm going to carefully open it here. And they did a wraparound on it for me. Buzz and Ken worked together. They call it a jam piece, and they did that for a lot of people. They did an Avengers variant for this guy, where they did a wraparound, and it had like 6 or 7 of the Avengers. I was like, man, you guys really go all out for your fans. So that was really cool, and they charged me next to nothing. I bought some stuff, but they gave me a good deal on everything because they're cool. So by the Living Corpse. Oscar, get off that. Sorry, my dog was stepping on an empty Mylar. It's usually pretty good about that. But please buy the Living Corpse, and also Ken Hazer's Army of Darkness stuff. Right now, I think he's on Army of Darkness /. So support their books. They deserve it. This is Amazing Spider-Man 305, and I got it signed by inker Mark McKenna. He was super cool. Got some self-published stuff. I like to support those guys if they seem cool and they have a good idea and a good deal. And this is PLB Comics. They're local to Maryland. And they're actually starting to get pretty big for a self-published label. And they've got 5 or 6 books in print. And I met artist Matt Shockley, who worked on this book, The Fall, Vengeance, and Justice. And this is number 1. And he told me they're actually doing well enough that they can afford to publish all their books and pay their staff now, which is pretty cool for an indie label. So good for them. Support their work. They got a stable of pretty talented young artists. This is an indie book called No One, and it's published by 2 of my friends I've known since we were teenagers, Tony Calandra and Nathan Getz. And their label is called Getz Calandra Productions. And they've been at it for a while, and they're really just getting better and better. And Nate has a Japanese anime manga influence on his style. And those of you that watched my Baltimore Comic Con haul video saw the gorgeous watercolor piece Nate did of Daniel Day-Lewis as the Butcher from Gangs of New York for me. And he's a great guy, and he does commissions. If I think I'll put their link on the bottom. But more importantly, I want to say, now that they've spent years honing their craft, they got a great idea. I read the preview. The dialogue is very good. It's a good idea, good concept. They're trying to do a Kickstarter for a book called The Patrol. And they've contacted a very major artist about doing a cover, and the price he gave him, I was like, you guys better do that. If you decide not to, I'll give the money if you get him to draw it. I'll pay that for the original art, man. And I was like, you guys should do that. So hopefully they get it going. Hopefully they get, they're in with some people who will help them out. And seriously, if you guys see a Kickstarter for The Patrol by Getz Calandra Production, please support the guys. They're good. They deserve the break. This is another self-published by some guys who went to the same college I went to. It's called Run for Your Lives, and they tied in with a charity zombie run called Run for Your Life. And this book is basically an amalgamation of like Hunger Games, Running Man, and a zombie flick. They take the criminals and they dump them in this town that's like fenced off and guarded, and it's a game show. They dump them in unarmed and they have to escape from the zombies in the town. I got this. I've been looking for this for a while. I only paid $5 for it. It's Kamiko's Gumby Summer Fun Special. And the reason I've always been wanting this is because it's a Gumby cover, if I can get some focus. Gumby cover by Art Adams. So that's cool. And it's a gorgeous white copy, and I snatched that up because it's not worth a lot, you just don't see it. And I was like, I do want that. Mentioned local guy Ken Hunt in another video, and the guy's so local, he went to the same comic shop as me in middle school and high school, and bought a Superman sketch of his in high school, and he was like, oh, he was embarrassed when I told him that. He's like, it's probably crap, but this is Ken's first cover he did on Talon number 12, and it's a beauty, and I'm glad to see him getting work from DC, man. He kicks ass, and Ken Hunt signed that cover for me. Writer Joe Keating was there. He's going to be working on the upcoming Marvel Knights Hulk series. And he was super nice. We talked for a while. Super cool guy. He did a story in the Batman Incorporated special number 1. So he signed that for me. He did Morbius, the Living Vampire. I got him to sign number 1. If I can get some focus here. He did number 1. Got him to sign that. He also wrote Amazing Spider-Man 699.1, which led into the Morbius book. He signed that for me. And I was super stoked to meet Neil Vokes. He was a huge part of my childhood. He worked for Kamiko, and he did number 2 of the Robotech Macross saga, and he did, I think the Robotech Masters series was about 23 or 24 issues, and Neil did the first 19. And kiddies, let this be a lesson to you. Keep your books in order. Because I've been trying to put my books in order, and I've been BSing on it. I've been really busy. And when I was trying to find books for this show, I know I have Robotech Masters, at least 1 and 2, or 1, 2, and 3. And I couldn't find them to get them signed, and it wouldn't have happened if I had my books in order. So learn from that, kiddies. Keep your books in orders. Don't let it get out of hand like I did and not put them in order for several years. So... But anyway, Neil Vokes did the cover and interior of this Robotech issue, and he signed it for me. He was so cool, so nice. Him and his wife was just like having a conversation with regular people. I mean, we talked about, Japanese cartoons. We talked comics. We talked Hammer horror. We talked Universal horror. We talked Warren magazine horror. We talked heavy metal because he had a Black Sabbath shirt on. We talked burger cookies. There's a bakery in Baltimore that just makes these cookies, and they're topped with this crazy fudge icing. And I guess they had never had them, and his wife had them. She's like, oh my God, you got to try these. And they're like, man, you can only get these here. I was like, yeah, you might be able to order them. So, yeah, it was really, just like having a conversation with a regular guy who had the same interest as you, but the whole time he's sitting there doing a piece for me. So he was awesome. And he does work for MonsterVerse now, and I'm really digging this Bela Lugosi's Tales from the Grave series. And Neil Vokes did a story on the interior, so he signed this for me. But the cover is by Rick Baker and Kerry Gamble, and I love that cover. If that's not like a demonic version of Popeye, I don't know what is, but that's freaking awesome. Neil signed my Ninjak number 1, which he did the art on, Neil Vokes, and he signed it up there. And this is Neil's new MonsterVerse book, Flesh and Blood. And I've been seeing the ads for this, and I really like that cover. And it looks like, with the monsters, it looks like something up my alley. But what's interesting about this is this book did not get published in individual issues. This is number 1, and it's basically 5 issues in one. It was $14.99 cover price, and as you can see, it's basically a trade paperback. But it's like the stories went directly to trade paperback, which is cool with me, because it has, high stock paper, prestige format, and 80 pages with no ads. So it's a cool idea on to publish them. You basically get them straight to trade. And it's a cool idea. And when I read this, I'll let you all know what I think of this book. There's actually 2 more volumes out. And Neil Vokes is cool. So, you know, again, when you meet somebody who you've been a fan of for that long and they're that cool, it just reinforces like, yep, I should be a fan of this guy. This was stoked to get signed. This is from, I believe, 86 or 87, and this is the Comico Robotech graphic novel with a beautiful painted cover by the legendary Ken Steacy. But Neil Vokes did the interior on this, and he signed it for me, and man, this copy almost looks like it's unread. It's got, except for that, it's got the one chip in the bottom, but gorgeous. And I mean, the spine is freaking perfect on this. Awesome near mint copy of that. Super stoked to get that signed. And I'm just going to move this magazine box here, and we'll get into some of the other stuff that I was able to get. As always, you know, always mention how good Buzz Hassan and Ken Hazer treat me, the Living Corpse guys, and Buzzy gave me these for free. Hippie showed the 68 one-shot they did recently, and I had recommended the first 68 series called Jungle Gym 68. It was a 4-issue mini by Image, and current Godzilla artist Jeff Zornow drew it, and he's a cool guy, and it's a cool idea. It's basically, what if a zombie apocalypse broke out in Vietnam during the Vietnam War? And the reason he did that recent 68 special was because one of the original writers, Josh Meadows, passed away of cancer. And so they did that as kind of like a tribute to him. And this, Buzzy gave me this for free. This is his Jungle Gym 68 print he did as a you know, a tribute to Josh Meadows. As you can see, Buzz Hassan, Blair Smith worked on it right there. It says R.I.P. Josh Meadows. Very cool of Buzz. And he also gave me this. They had these 68 cards at Phoenix Comic-Con. And they did not attend, but they gave them, you know, they gave the Corpse guys a bunch of blank cards, and Buzz drew that for me. So that was pretty cool. Moving on. I had to get this print, and sorry about the glare. I hope you can see it. If I can get some focus here. This is a print by Dave Hillman and inked by Mark McKenna. I got it at Mark McKenna's table, and he signed it for me. This is an awesome kind of mashup of Darth Vader versus aliens. And that is freaking awesome. And if they ever had the balls to publish this story, I'd be all over it. I had to get this. He did some cool mashups, this guy. They had another one that was a Predator sitting on a throne of bones, and he had a chain with a collar. And on the collar was Princess Leia in her slave girl outfit. He had one of Darth Maul fighting a Terminator, or was it Blade fighting a Terminator? Can't remember. But he would just take these properties and cross them up. You know, pretty cool stuff. Dave Hillman. I had to buy this. This is one of the guys that worked for that local publisher, PLB, I was telling you about. And how talented is this guy? His name is Chris Fisher. Fischer. Check out his site. This print blew me away. I'm a big Blade Runner fan. And look how photorealistic that young Harrison Ford is. That's awesome. I said, man, that's like Dave Dorman-esque. And then you look at the background. I said, man, I told him, I said, this blows me away. I said, this looks like Dave Dorman and Bill Sienkiewicz had a freaking kid that's awesome. I was so blown away by this. I had to buy it. And I told him, I said, I'll be checking out your website. And this just goes to show you that there's some freaking seriously ultra-talented guys out there that just have not gotten their break and have not gotten noticed for whatever reason. But look at that freaking print. That's awesome. Had to buy that. This Thor sketch was by Victor Castro Jr., he's done a lot of like fill-in work. He's worked on a lot of like the Walking Dead 100, the Ultimate Spider-Man 100. And he's working on getting his big break, and I hope he gets a book soon. But he had some awesome prints. He's a talented artist, and he had these sketches already done on his table. $10 for this Thor sketch. $10. So snatch that up. And I mentioned my buddy Nathan Getz earlier, and Nate has a very, his style is very reminiscent of Japanese anime and manga, and I'm a fan of that. So I asked him to draw me Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, and he did this awesome pen and ink sketch for me of Kenshiro. Beautiful. Thanks, Nate. this is a Swamp Thing pen and ink sketch drawn by, her name is Nicole Jelinek, and I hope I pronounced that right. And I don't want to sound rude here, but this girl's young. She's probably 24, 25, and absolutely gorgeous young lady. She is beautiful. And she was done up so glamorous for this show in a nice, gorgeous dress and, you know, and high heels and jewelry and hair and makeup done. She's beautiful. And not to be rude, but when you're like that at a comic convention, you're going to have comic dorks come up to your table just because you're beautiful. But the thing about this young lady is when you get to her table, she can draw. And sorry, my dog is running into stuff, but she is very young, and Buzz told me, he's like, yeah, I've known her for a while. He's like, if you saw her work from 2 years ago compared to now, you wouldn't even think it's the same person. He's like, she's getting better and better, and he's like, she's gonna get better because she's young. And she was super nice, and she did a living corpse piece for Buzz and them and came and gave it to him, and they gave her some free stuff, and it's just cool to see how all these people, you know, my friends Nate and Tony had a table by the writer Joe Keating, and he was reading their books and giving them tips, and they exchanged books, and he gave them their books, and Nate and Tony gave him theirs, and it's just really cool to see all the love they were spreading around, and all the support and positivity. It was really cool. But yeah, Nicole Jelinek, keep an eye and ear out for her. Class act. And she does mostly horror stuff, which is cool. Her knowledge is abstract. My friend Joe asked her to do a sketch, and what she drew him was a really obscure 80s movie called Basket Case. She drew him Bilal from Basket Case. She's like, do you guys know who this is? I was like, dude, we were just talking to Ken Hazer about that. It was really weird because I saw Ken Hazer did a drawing of Quato from Total Recall, and I said I almost thought that was Basket Case at first. And he's like, no, it's Quato. And then me and Joe go over to that table, and she gives him that sketch. I was like, dude, did you ask her to draw? He's like, no. I was like, is that not the weirdest shit ever? He's like, yeah, we've got to take this and show Ken and Buzz. And it was just like the weirdest synchronicity that she drew that. But anyway, I've been talking over this beautiful piece. Is one of my favorite things that I got. And like I told you, Neil Vokes was just talking to me the whole time he was working on this. And to have the Robotech artist of my childhood do me a piece like this just blew me away. He only charged me $40 for this, and the amount of work and effort and time he put into it, I felt like I should have gave him more money. But I asked him to draw Rick Hunter. I come back, he's done Rick, he's done Lisa, and he's done a Veritech. And man, he made a grown Robotech fan stupid happy. And Neil Vokes is just a cool, cool guy. Gave me his email, told me to send him a scan of that so he can put it on his Facebook, because like he literally finished that 10 minutes after the show. He finished it up for me. He worked until the end of the show. Awesome guy. I mentioned Ken Hunt, the Talon cover artist. Ken did this awesome pencil sketch of Cap for me. Beautiful stuff. Hell of a guy. And also off Ken, I bought this Joker print I've been wanting. I didn't get it last time. I chose the Batman one over this. So it was a Silvestri homage. But this time I got this print. And Ken not only signed it for me, but he gave me, well, he didn't give it to me. I paid a good bit for it. But he gave me a break on everything as one bulk. But this is the original page art for that Joker print that he did. And it's beautiful. And it furthers my addiction that just started for original art that I should not be getting into. But there it is. I'm happy to have that. I got that and the finish that I'm going to get framed and hang them up side by side. Again, original art. And again, I have to just say how cool Ken Hauser and Buzz Hassan are. I bought some stuff, and at the end of the show, I saw this. I was like, wow, man, that's awesome. I was like, how much does that run? And he's like, you know what? He's like, you already bought a bunch of stuff. He's like, if you want that, you can have that for $50. I said, you know, I'd never say this, but I was like, Ken, are you sure? Like, you don't have, I was like, I appreciate it. You don't have to give it to me that cheap, because I think it's probably worth twice, maybe even 4 times that. And he's like, no. He's like, you come see us every show, you spend money at our table, and you recommend our book. He's like, $50 if you want it. And I paid that. And this is, I think he said it was originally supposed to be a cover, but it actually ended up being the first page spread of his first issue of Army of Darkness. And that's awesome. And I just want to say that the new series that Dynamite's doing, written by Steve Niles, The New Army of Darkness, Ken wanted to draw it, and they told him, your style's too cartoony, which, I don't think that's that cartoony. That looks like Ash to me. That's what Ash is supposed to look like. And furthermore, the first Army of Darkness series, well, I guess the second, the first was the movie adaptation by Dark Horse, but the Devil's Due series won tons of awards, and that was drawn by Nick Bradshaw, who's more cartoony than just about anybody. And so I think, I don't know, maybe they're going for a more photorealistic style. That's what they should have just said, but that's not cartoony to me. That's what Ash is supposed to look like, and I'm happy to have that. Ken Hazer's a cool guy. Buy his Army of Darkness book, Army of Darkness /. Sorry this went so long, but I'm going to finish it off with Steranko. And this is gorgeous. This was an expensive print. The Spirit of America by Jim Steranko, but the proceeds benefit the 9/11 Memorial Education Fund. So part of it's going to charity, and I just had to have it anyway. I mean, look at that. Look at that, man. That is just freaking beautiful. And he signed it in pencil. I asked him to personalize this one. It says, "To Matt, keep America safe, Steranko." It's got Cap, man, Namor, Human Torch. Bucky, look, even Hitler's in there. It's got everybody. Who's that beside Batroc? Who is it? Who's that Wolfman creature? I'm sure Hippie or some Captain America fan will know, and I probably should know that, but I don't know who that is above Batroc, unless it's supposed to be Werewolf by Night, but I don't think it is. Anyway, if any of you know, let me know. But yeah, I had to get this, and Jim Steranko said to me when I bought it, he said, "Can I make a suggestion?" Jim Steranko going to make a suggestion. Like, I'm going to tell him no. But he's like, if I may suggest, if you're going to get this framed, he said, I've seen some of these framed where they used a chrome frame and a gunmetal gray matting. And he's like, that matting really brings out the tones in this. And I said, yeah, it's beautiful. I said, I really like the red stripes going through the white background really set this off. And that is a beauty by Jim Steranko. And that, I don't care if I got to take something else down when I get this frame. That's going on the wall. And Star Wars fans, I could not pass on this. This is a print of Steranko's cover for Media Scene Previews Empire Strikes Back issue. And it's a wraparound cover, and it is a freaking beauty. Look at that. Look at everything going on. He signed it there. But look at this. That is freaking incredible. I could not pass that up. And this, another staple of my childhood, was Masters of the Universe. And this is an original lithograph from 1984 by Mattel and the Nestle Company. And this is when I was all into He-Man. The cartoon and the toys were, and the comics were at full tilt at this point. And this is the only thing Steranko drew of Masters of the Universe. I'm going to try and get some better focus. Here we go. That's just a beauty. You can see his name's there. And this is original. He didn't have one of these because they're so old, but he signed that for me right there. And again, this is getting framed, and this is going up on the frickin' wall. So happy to have that sign. That is something from my childhood that just, for a long time I had this, and I didn't even realize it was by Steranko. And then one day I looked, I was like, holy shit, that's Steranko drew that. There's his name. So yeah, I am more than thrilled with everything I got this show. Sorry this video dragged on so long, but had a lot of stuff I was excited to show. Thank you so much for taking the time to check it out, as always. I'm a little bit behind in checking out some videos. I've been busy lately, and when I had spare time, I've been trying to find stuff to get signed at this show and pulling out doubles. So I'll definitely be getting caught up soon. I do enjoy all your videos, and I really appreciate this comic community. It's become one of my outlets. So thank you all again for your time and checking out my vid. And everyone take care of yourselves and your families, and happy comic book reading. Take care.